Welcome to Behind the Headlines, the official podcast of the Warragul Drill Gazette. I'm Nicholas Duck and this is Alyssa Fritzlaff. And today our guest is Warragul Industrial's Vice President and Director of Football Operations, Nick Gooden. Nick, welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, no worries. So we'll get straight into it. This is the third in our series on previews for local footy and netball clubs. So we'll just get straight into it. Pre-season, we're under a month away from round one. What's the feeling around the Dusties?
Good. Yeah, the feeling's really good. So the boys, especially the senior program, fit and firing, ready to go for another season after last year's prelim final loss. And obviously we've got a heap of extra vibe around the club, introducing the under-18s back into the program for the first time in about 3 or 4 years, roughly.
Yeah, so good.
Lots of people around at the moment and lots of excitement, good young kids and everything that you want your footy club to be about happening.
Yeah, good. So I guess what have pre-season training numbers been looking like?
Yeah, good. Decent enough. Senior numbers are always solid. I guess, like everyone, the reserves numbers are up and down. Yeah. I think I worked out last night that we've seen roughly 50 senior players through the year. But you know, some of the reserves guys don't get down as much as we'd like them to.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
No. Terrific. And what sort of a general training session looked like?
Yeah, so it's pretty in-depth. A bit of a change to our game style that senior coach Harmit Singh's brought in. So plenty more education for the guys, incorporating some of the juniors that are coming through as well and educating them. I guess an extension of how football's played. They come through from the under-14 comp into the under-16s, under-18s, and it starts to get a little bit serious for them, and then they start to look towards the senior stuff. So lots of education.
Yeah.
Not too much fitness and running for the boys
this
year. They all came back in pretty good shape.
No, that's good.
Keen and hungry, so it means that we can get straight into the important things.
Yeah. So it sounds like you're really sort of trying to develop that pathway for the younger players.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. We've identified that it's so crucial to have your junior programs up and firing and a good pipeline of kids coming through. So we try and involve them as much as we can with all the different things we do, like our community camp. A good number of the under-16s and under-18s attended that, which is good.
Where'd you go for that?
We actually did it in Warragul this year.
Okay.
Yeah, which was different and fun, but it gave us a chance to have really good engagement with our sponsors in and around the town. So
yeah, good.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to touch on, I know you mentioned the preliminary final loss last year. I guess we'll flash back a bit. So for those who may not be aware, the Dusties made finals, finished 6th, which was the lowest seeding in the finals. Managed to win 2 finals in a row in games that they perhaps weren't favoured to win necessarily. And then they came within a extra time and a free kick or a mark after the siren to down to Phillip Island by under a goal. So I guess given how
that
close...
It hurts hearing it again like that.
Look,
it's been a few months. Yeah.
No, apologies.
No,
but I guess I just wanted to touch on what that's been like coming back from pre-season, having had that such a heartbreaking end to the last season. I guess have the boys come back really fired up.
Yeah, I think the week after that was the West Gippsland Grand Final. The boys decided to catch up as a group and drown their sorrows, I guess, as most teams do when their season sort of ends up. And really, since then, we haven't really touched on it too much. There's a lot of players in there that have had success through their footy careers. They know what it takes, and to fall so short, it was so heartbreaking that everybody's back, ready to go, and driven to be one kick better.
Yeah, and I guess do you look on the bright side, I guess, of that finals campaign, because there were those 2 finals wins against Inverloch, Conglack and Coralline, 2 teams that I think the boys might have struggled against during the home and away season that they then got on top of in finals.
Well, yeah, we hadn't beaten Inverloch since we moved into the West Gippsland competition, and I think it had been 14 or 15 years since we'd beaten Coralline. Going right back to when we were both playing in the Ellenbank League. So to get those wins was great. A good momentum builder, hopefully leading into this season. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Well, looking into this season, I guess, who's new around the club? Who are some of your recruits?
Yeah, so We have not gone out and recruited too heavily this year. We've managed to keep every senior listed player from last season, so we haven't actually lost any players yet. There might be one that might be heading off, but that side that we saw in the preliminary final will basically be pretty much exactly the same. But we've added Braden Fowler to key forward from the Warragul Gulls, and Mitch Pappas, another live wire forward, has joined us from Northcote, and they're pretty much our keys. Plus a few guys that we're expecting out of the under-18s to come up and make a bit of an impact straight away.
Yeah, good. And I guess touching on that under-18s program, you said it'd been a few years. I guess what drove the club to get that all together, and I guess what did it look like putting it all together? Because like you said, it's been a few years.
Yeah, so it's definitely been quite a few years of work. Rewinding back probably, I think, maybe 3 or 4 years now when we first ran our first junior academy, which was basically inviting down all the under 14 kids from the local clubs to come and do an extra night of training with our senior players, our senior coach. Had some guests from the AFL come down. They go on to camp down to the city, experience training at Essendon or somewhere like that, and some team bonding activities. So we really tried to start to mould that team quite like 3 or 4 years ago. They moved into the under-16s. Some of them were top age players that have now moved into the under-18s. And of course, like anybody that needs under-18 players, we're able to attract a couple of good players from the local area that wanted to be involved in the football program and the good senior coaching and all those sorts of things. So
yeah, okay.
Awesome. And do you reckon in your senior team, you mentioned that you're not really losing any players. Do you think that speaks a lot to the club's culture?
I think so. Since before COVID, I think we've lost 4 players across 3 years out of our senior group. So they're really close. They're really young. A lot of the guys that make up the core of the side played a lot of junior footy for the club together, and they're starting to come, into their mid-20s sort of age bracket. So it's a really good nucleus of guys, bit of experience sprinkled on top, and hopefully it's the right recipe that everybody looks for this time of year.
Yeah. Well, it's been a pretty linear growth ever since you guys have moved to the West Skippy League. I guess, do you take that as a positive sign that this year you can, again, take another step forward? Oh,
hopefully. I guess that's everyone's plan in March.
Yes.
But, all the other teams in the competition are always looking to get stronger. The West Gippsland competition gets stronger year in, year out. You hear of some of the recruits that are going to other teams. You think you're in a good spot, and then you hear of 3 or 4 that might have gone somewhere else, and you're like, oh, now they're going to be right on our clacker. So it's a really exciting competition to be a part of. But hopefully, we've got the recipe right.
Yeah.
Hopefully we just maybe get back into the finals again and have a sustained period of finals football in the West Skippy comp.
Yeah, so I guess with the West Skippy comp, we've seen a couple of teams really shoot out in front. Phillip Island had their period of dominance, and then last year we saw Turin and Dalmore take that next step. I guess what sort of things do you learn from clubs like that you then try to implement into your own football program?
I think those 2 clubs are great examples of continuity of players. Phillip Island have been, the cornerstone of dominance in our competition since 2017, 2018, somewhere there. To be that good and at the top of the table for half a decade, I think really, really proves a point. Turin were probably, in the cancelled year, a really good chance. In the season that got cut in half, and the year before. So they've sort of had that list now for 3 or 4 years as well. I think continuity of list, keeping the same players around, really helps.
So I guess you mentioned the interrupted year. Obviously 2022 saw local leagues all around Australia finally get back to playing a full season. What was that like for the Dusties?
Oh, it was great. We love footy, and I think anybody that's listening to this that's involved in a community club, whether it's football, chess, knitting, whatever it is, the ability to be able to be around your friends and the people that you like after work and on weekends, and just having an outlet is so important for everybody's mental health. Everybody's just good vibes. You get down to a community club, whether it's a volunteer or a player or whatever it might be, and you just feel like you got an extra sense of reward for the stuff that you do during the week. it's what I love most about community footy.
Yeah.
Just being around your friends and around people, and an extension of that, being able to, hopefully leave a positive impact on the people around us.
Mm. Have you seen a sort of excitement, I guess, from the Dusties fan base?
Yeah, the Dusties fans are diehard.
Yeah.
They're always pretty excited. Even in some of those lean years, especially that first year we went over to West Gippy, you definitely can't fault the fans. Dusties people are Dusties people.
Yeah.
Let's just put it that way.
Yeah. So I just wanted to touch on the coaching situation. So I know Harmit Singh is coming back again. He's been a highly regarded coach in local leagues for a long time now. I guess what does he bring to the side that, other coaches might not?
Oh, well, since Harmit's joined the club, just his professionalism and willingness to be able to build and be involved in building our program from the ground up. Setting up that junior academy 3 years ago and helping nurture those kids through, and talking to them about what their future football pathway looks like. Obviously being involved in that pathway system at the AFL level, he's able to provide really good advice and a guy to lean on, I guess, as a friend for some of these guys as they come through, whether that's looking for kids, boys and girls looking to play for Gippsland Power or maybe go to the VFL system. His professionalism around the group is probably like nothing that we've seen at the club. The training standards and expectations and all of those sorts of things, can't fault it. And we're really, really lucky to have a guy like that leading our footy club.
Yeah. Well, I know you touched on Gippsland Power. We've already seen that two of the club's boys have already been selected. I believe it's Alex Toru.
Yep, Alex Toru.
There we go. And Sam Grummage.
Sam Grummage, yep.
Yeah. Alex
is a really exciting young player. He's going to go into the Power under 18 system as a bottom major. Big, tall, athletic, blonde, eye-catching, screamer-taking, goal-kicking, excitement machine. He's got a really long future. He actually nearly managed to get a senior debut in last year's prelim final.
Really?
Yeah, with one guy under a bit of an injury cloud, but it wasn't the best. We're looking forward to him having a nice long career, whether that's graduating through Power or playing 300 games for Dusties. We think he's got a really big future. Sam's a new boy to the club, so he's come over from Bunyip. Again, he's a really exciting talent. He's in the under-16 program. Really good leader, eye-catching, quick, excellent skills, all those sorts of things that you want to see from an emerging 16-year-old.
Yeah, and I guess is that sort of just reaffirming to you that the club's junior talent pathways are something to keep a hold of and something that is working, I guess. Oh,
for sure, yeah. I was at the club rooms when the Grummage family came down for the meeting, and it was it was pretty obvious that they wanted to get themselves in and around Heath, the under-16s coach, especially for Sam. Heath had looked after Sam in some junior pathway stuff previously, and they sort of wanted to get back together and continue their footy career. And we're really grateful to have a family like that join the club.
Yeah, good. And that's Heath
Logan,
the
under-16s coach.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, so I know you touched on briefly that there's sort of a new game plan coming. Clearly, you can't give too much away, but I guess if Dusties fans are making the trip out to Phillip Island round one, what do you think they should be expecting to see out on the field?
I think we'll see a much more exciting brand of footy. Last year, we relied heavily through the finals on defence. Obviously, still a massive part of footy, but I think we might see a little bit more excitement, especially with a few of the forward playmakers that we've brought in. There'll be a bit more, hopefully a few more goals and a bit more down the scoring end, rather than trying to grind it out.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. I think it's just a matter of that now that Harmit's had that side basically going into its third pre-season now. They've really taken on all the education that he's provided them, and it's now just another layer that they can add to their game. So it's a really well measured and well structured process that Harmit goes through to get his teams to where they need to be for success.
Yeah, good. Well, I just wanted to ask, I guess, round one up against Phillip Island. I know we've already sort of touched on how that last game against Phillip Island went, but I guess Does that carry extra weight that, you know, your first game back will be against the team that knocked you out?
Oh, for sure. The boys are so excited to have the opportunity to go down and play Phillip Island. Phillip Island approached us not that long after the season finished and said, look, you know, after what's probably remembered as one of the most memorable games, how about we kick off next season on one of the biggest days in the West Gippsland calendar. So when we were given the opportunity to go down and play Phillip Island, where we've now got probably a little bit of a rivalry with on Easter at their home in front of a crowd that is apparently normally as big as the grand final crowd. Our boys are really excited, especially the seniors, but also the juniors. Looking forward to playing in front of big crowds. We want our guys playing the best footy they can and the biggest occasions that they can, and hopefully a day like Easter, followed by our next game being the Anzac clash with Tooradin. It's a bumper start to the year, but hopefully it gives us a bit of an audition for what might be able to transpire later in the year, hopefully.
Yeah, and have you guys played any practice matches so far?
No, not yet. So our first practice match will be on Sunday the 19th in the Tyson Bale Memorial game against Bullen, which is, again, another day that the boys and everybody at the club really look forward to be able to go out and the two clubs that young Tice played for, be able to go to battle like he loved doing every Saturday, and seeing who gets bragging rights for the year down at the pub. The boys are really looking forward to that one.
Yeah, I guess, is that a bit of an emotional day?
It is an emotional day. Yeah, I think the last few years we've gone up and as a playing group and visited Tyson up at his site and just had some of the guys that played a lot of footy with him speak about, you know, the kind of guy he was and why he loved footy so much and why we loved him so much and what he means to our club and why we need to go out there and win even though it's a practice match.
Yeah. Sort of brings a bit more meaning to a pre-season scratch match, I suppose.
Oh, it does, yeah. I think anybody that's witnessed them over the last 2 years would think that it's preliminary final weekend, not the middle of March.
Yeah.
Which is good to get straight into it and, yeah, hopefully get the bragging rights for the year.
How's the netball going? What's pre-season looking like for your netball teams?
Oh, netball's flying along at the moment. The junior numbers are pretty much at record levels for Dusties. I know... especially the under 15s and the under 17s. They've got incredibly good numbers and some really talented players over there. The senior numbers are looking strong as well. Did manage to get down the other week to the trials, and it's a brutal thing, netball, isn't it? The netball trials, I mean, you know, to play B grade, C grade or D grade or whatever grade you might end up in, it's a lot different to the blokes trying to get a game in footy. They just come and stretch on the fence and squirt some water at each other and then off they go. So that was a bit of an eye opener. But I think the girls are really excited that our club's going to be coming back to one after 2 years of the girls playing down at Burke Street, to be able to have the new facility open, ready to go in time for our first clash, and that extra bit of meaning after it being named after, you know, Liza is going to be really, really good for the girls and for the group, and they'll get together and have a really good year, I think.
Awesome. And have you had the opportunity to tour through that facility and see what's going to change for the girls this year?
Oh, I have. It's a really good facility. They've done a really good job between the Warragul girls and the Dusties, the girls that lobbied and got that project up and running. It's looking really good. It's probably one of the best ones in the Shire now. So really nice courts, the change facilities. They've got a little canteen over there, and they'll just be able to have their own home now, because that old building over there didn't let them have much space for meetings or team prep or any of those sorts of things. So I think it'll be really good for the girls who've had a couple of tough years to finally have somewhere to call home.
Yeah, and I guess, did you want to talk a bit about, you know, I know you mentioned that the pavilion and the facilities named after Liza Farrow, who, of course, you know, passed away and was a legend of the club. I guess, did you want to talk about, you know, the impact that she had on the Dusties and I guess how meaningful it is that...
Yeah, I think that the naming of the building after Liza is probably one of the best things that the council's done in quite a long time. Liza's impact that she left on our netball club across 300 games and premierships and more best and fairest that can fit on your hand extends so much further to the impact that she had on young girls' lives as they were coming through in junior netball. I know that when I was at school, going back that far, a lot of the girls that I went to school with played junior netball at Dusty's, and to this day, 15, 16, 17 years later, they still talk about what a great person she was and how influential and the kind of person you could turn to for advice about anything, netball or life or work or whatever. They don't make many people like that, and we're really honoured to have her at our club for such a long time. And they're going to be playing a game against Long Warri in netball, where Liza also spent a little bit of time in a practice match. I guess sort of similar to what the boys do with the Tyson Day, which will be a really good way for the two clubs to come together and sort of have an unofficial opening of the courts in her memory.
Amazing. Yeah, that'll be great.
Yeah, well, everyone's looking forward to it. It'll be good to see the netball courts full, and 4 grades of footy back out there, and all those sorts of things that we've worked so hard to get going. So yeah.
Terrific. And what about the coaching side of netball? Are you aware of who's taking on what role?
Yeah, so Shane Maynard is taking over the main part of the coaching at the moment. He's a terrific fellow with heaps of experience from different clubs up in Latrobe Valley, Morwell East, those sorts of clubs. I personally haven't had much to do with him yet, apart from a couple of phone calls about some training sessions where we integrated the boys and the girls together. And look, I think he's the right man for the job. He's really motivated and caring, and got some really good methods, I guess, to make netball more professional and try and be more inclusive with football. And he's also got ideas he wants football to do for netball, so that we can, after pretty much 4 seasons ago, we'll last together once you count COVID. We can come back and become one club.
Yeah, fantastic. So you've been doing training sessions together in a way?
Yeah. I think last Thursday we had the men's, the juniors, the women's, the youth girls, and the netball all trained together on the Thursday. Did some stuff over on the netball courts, some stuff over on the footy grounds, swapped the balls around, and I think everyone had a really good time. And then we all had dinner together, so it was really, really good to see about 100 or so people all training together. Yeah, makes it, all the work that we do in the background as volunteers, you look at that and go, well, it's so worth it. Absolutely. You see so many people in the community together having fun.
Yeah. Is that something that you've done in the past, or is this the first time it's been?
It's been a little bit hard over the last couple of years with netball away, but we normally have something in around Christmas time.
Yep.
Sort of have everyone together, big barbecue and whatnot. Sometimes the men's footy and the women's footy integrate a little bit more just because of training nights, but it's definitely something that netball and football both have on their radar for this year.
Cool.
For sure.
Yeah.
Especially now we've got some concrete that we can run on rather than slop and mud in July and August. We might be tapping on their shoulder a little bit more.
Yeah. I just wanted to touch on briefly, and we'll keep it brief as we're planning on talking to someone from the Dusty's women's football department in a future episode. But I guess, just as vice president of the club, I guess if you want to give us your perspective on what it's been like watching the women's program grow and develop as it has now, to the point where they've won the premiership last year and will be moving up into the top division.
Oh, it's one of the most mind-boggling things I've ever seen in my life, basically, where that women's football program sort of came from when they started to where it is now, and the professionalism and the skill and everything about them it's just mind-blowing. The way that, women's football caters for all sorts of different people, and they all come together and have fun, and the rate that the growth of the game in the women's is going, it's hard to keep up with, basically. And obviously the facility down there doesn't keep up with it, so hopefully that redevelopment thing gets off the line at some point that you guys reported about a couple of weeks ago. That'd be really handy. But yeah, I think the women are taking the step up into the Premier Division of that competition now, so there'll be some challenges for them playing against some really good players, but with that comes the ability, they've signed an ex-AFLW player, they've got 3 or 4 players that have AFL listed in the team now. It's becoming a real hub for, I guess, elite women's football in Gippsland.
Yeah, good. And I guess I just wanted to touch on...
and also, we spoke about Gippsland Power earlier. I think the girls have, in the youth, they've got four listed.
Yeah.
Girls going up to Power, so that's exciting as well. Mark and, that youth team's doing a really good job. I was really impressed with how those girls act and integrate themselves into the club when they trained with us the other night. It's one of the best groups of people I think I've ever seen. So courteous and nice and and skillful. It's actually exciting to see what they're going to achieve in the future.
Yeah, good. And I just wanted to touch on I guess the club as a whole. It's been a few years now since the Dusties moved from the Ellenbank District League to the West Skippy League. I guess now that we're a few years down the track, how do you reflect on, I guess, the journey since then?
Yeah, it was tough to start with. It was definitely tough losing, that first year where we went into West Gippsland, something like 23 or 24 senior players out of the group. We weren't able to field under 14s. We had a good bottom age under 18 side. To then to get to where we are now, it's been the best decision we've ever had. We lost a lot of kids through that time because they didn't want to play in the better standard of West Gippy. But the proof's in the pudding now with how many kids are involved playing a good standard of junior footy. Senior numbers are good. Netball numbers are good. It's it's paying off. It's paying off. It's a great, progressive, vibrant competition that I think we honestly believe will be the best competition in Gippsland in not too much time.
Yeah, good.
Terrific. Any more questions, or is that pretty much...
Well, I guess we'll just wrap it up with one final question, I guess. Speaking to Dusties fans who may be listening, with round one coming up, I guess what would be your message to the Dusties fan base at the moment?
To the twos blokes, get to training.
Yep. Important.
No, I think just get ready for another exciting year of Dusties sports. I'd make a concerted effort if you are coming down to watch a game of footy. Get there early. Check out these fourths and thirds because they're mind blowing. There's some serious talent running around out there, and if you can find the time in the morning, get down to watch junior footy. It's going to be exciting.
Awesome.
Well, thank you so much for coming down and having a chat with us.
No worries. Thank you for having me. It was good.
Hopefully we'll be able to catch up with you later in the season and see how that's all gone.
Yeah, for sure. That sounds great.